Breaking news in the race for the White House. Donald Trump has made his pick for vice president. He's picked Ohio Senator JD Vance to accompany him on the ticket for the White House. And it's really big piece of breaking news tonight at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. This is really big news when it comes to the presidential race. We have a complete picture of what both tickets will look like, or at least for now. We still don't know what's going on with the Democratic Party, but I will say this is a very interesting pick for Donald Trump. JD Vance is on the younger side. He's only 39 years old, has some experience in especially, the Senate, but only 2 years, where comparatively, a lot of the other candidates had definitely more experience. But this is where I think, if we look at the electoral map, JD Vance really comes in for Donald Trump. And it's the Midwest. As of right now, I think that Donald Trump has, pretty good chances in the states of Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and your Sunbelt states. So these are states where in the polls without a vice presidential nominee or anything of that sort, he's been leading consistently in the polls by around 3, 4, or 5 points. That leaves the race for the White House, that leaves him at 268. That leaves the race of the White House to pretty much 268 electoral votes. Win one of either Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, or Minnesota, you win the White House for the Republican Party. By the way, some of these Democratic states, just for this map, I just want to illustrate the fact that of where generally the electoral map is with our swing states. JD Vance, compared to someone like Doug Burgum or Marco Rubio, who was, I guess, dismissed as a VP nominee, the biggest advantage, I think, out of those three people, JD Vance targets this region of the country specifically. His book, his story, as he starts gaining some name recognition, I think could be really impactful in places like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Now, I think this hurts Trump's chances in other parts of the country. I think another VP nominee might have helped him get slightly better numbers in Virginia, slightly better numbers in other parts of the country. However, because the race for the White House is going to be defined by the Midwest region, and we've known this coming into this race, that the Midwest was going to become a crucial part of this upcoming presidential race. JD Vance is such an interesting pick because of his populism. He is the next phase of Trump populism. And I think it really shows that, number one, Trump is probably looking at someone who could be the future of the Republican Party in this vice presidential pick. Picking someone like a Doug Burgum, I think whoever he would have ended up picking, in this case it was JD Vance, whoever he was going to end up picking was going to end up being the sort of quote unquote appointed successor of the Trump MAGA movement. But JD Vance has, it is really, really young. So I think it's really interesting. And I think it positions himself really well to be the Republican nominee in 2028 if the Republicans do go on to win this race. But look, just any one state, pick either Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. The Republicans win, and they're leading in the polls here. But I think that for a lot of white working class voters, JD Vance has that appeal. And we'll see how JD Vance does with other groups of voters. I don't think he's going to do that great with minority voters, but I think he might have a chance to really come out. And it just depends on how the campaign decides to paint JD Vance. I think from Trump's announcement on Truth Social, we did see sort of him highlighting, his work for the white working class. But we'll see if any of those impacts have further impacts, just for voters, other things. I'm going to be making a actual full-length election map prediction within the next couple of days, really focusing on everything that with the assassination attempt. And now that we know the full picture, knowing that JD Vance is the Republican nominee for vice president of the United States, I think this is really interesting as it closes a really long race to be the vice president. This Veep stakes for the Republican Party has been one of the longest ones since the day that Donald Trump announced back in November of 2022. The questions have been, who would Donald Trump pick to be his vice presidential nominee? And it is now apparent Senator JD Vance from the state of Ohio has been selected to be Donald Trump's vice presidential nominee over many other candidates who have been rumored in the process. So I think this is very interesting. I think it adds a little bit more. I think it's definitely a pick which the Democrats are not necessarily super, upset about. I think it's like, I think JD Vance is kind of a medium level threat pick for the Democrats in the sense that he does not appeal to a certain group of voters that are, suburban women specifically. But when you look at the Democrats' chances at the White House, it goes through the Midwest. And I think it clearly is they're one of the biggest challenge. But we'll see. We're going to have more analysis coming in the next couple of days. I think it's very interesting. We finally have this pick. And Donald Trump apparently got his wishes of announcing it at the convention. So very interesting. We're probably going to see the vice presidential nominee speak in the next couple of days at the convention. And we'll go from there. So I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you want to stay up to date with all of our latest 2024 election content, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you're up to date with our latest content. And let us know in the comments below, what do you think of JD Vance? Do you think he brings value to the Trump ticket? And what do you think about the current state of the 2024 presidential election? Once again, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.